What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over a rumor that we started to see yesterday from Daniel RPK. Normally does a lot of movie stuff, but you know what? He's talked a little bit about Naughty Dog in the past. Now he's talking about indie. He knows his stuff. He's incredibly plugged in, and maybe it's through the movies that he got plugged in with the gaming kind of side of the entertainment landscape. But he tweeted out yesterday something pretty darn simple. He says, looks like we're getting more indie games with the eye emojis, and that's it. That's all she wrote. And that's enough for me. That's enough to confirm it. Look, I think this is not a shock to me. And of course, like, you almost have to separate, I guess, quality with then like performance, like how it actually did sales and Game Pass numbers and stuff. From the quality side, you know, I talked about, I mean, yes, they gave me the review code, but that's never stopped me before from being negative if it needs to be. This game is phenomenal. This game is one of the better games of the entire year. I truly believe that. I think a lot of people that did play it really liked it, and I think there's something very special about it. And I think being like an origin point, like to start off here, oh my God, like you can go in so many places, and you to improve upon it. I mean, there's very few things that need improvement, but to think that maybe it can only get better from here is really exciting. So again, from the quality standpoint and it being one of the better games, a game of the year, I think contender, if it came out a couple of weeks earlier, I think it would have been a contender at the Game Awards. And even to like your own mind, you can think independently of the Game Awards. It deserves more. It deserves more. And because you can honestly place it whenever you want. You could do it in between movies. You could do it at, a huge gap between like 3 and 4, whatever you want to do. There's plenty of room that you can fit these stories. You have to be careful of like who you leave indie with, like characters, and not to spoil this game, but they did it, I think, really well. Like, they established a relationship, but you can't go too far, and you can't really link just because of things that have to happen in the movies and stuff, which I respect, and I think that's the right call. So from that perspective, I totally get it, and it deserves more games, and I want more games. Just from playing this game, it's like, yeah, you nailed it. And it's not to take away, like, let's move on so fast from this game, but we should get more. Like, this should be rewarded, right? Their effort should be rewarded. Now, on the other side of things, it might be surprising to people to think that the game didn't do all that well. Now, to be fair to all sides, we really don't know. We know the peak concurrent number on Steam, which I think was only around 12,000. That's not great. But at the same time, I don't know how a game like this would do Game Pass versus sales. Now, we did get something, I think, today through an industry kind of analyst that this game, just weekly, okay, I think it was this past week, this game was number 2 in the U.S. in sales, only to Call of Duty, which was number 1. Astrobot jumped, I think, from like 10 to 8 or 7, somewhere in that range. So, like, you're seeing games right before the holiday season, and which games are kind of like having these bigger spikes, and they might eventually kind of fall down. But for indie, I mean, it's 1 week. We don't know about like the entire thing. And also, like, is there a gap? Like, Call of Duty's number 1, right? And say that thing sold, say 200,000 units in a week. What's the gap between 1 and 2? So Indie's number 2, but did it sell 190,000 or did it sell like 40,000? And it's just every other game below it sold. I mean, it's simple math. To be fair, we really don't know. At the same time, I imagine this is a game that Game Pass can really help. I mean, I would buy, if it was not on Game Pass, I would buy the game, okay? I mean, originally I was going to get it through Game Pass just to kind of take advantage of the service. We'll see how it does, like, when it comes to PlayStation. See, that might be a really big indicator as well, where can we have data points? Like, I don't know how much that Circana can actually track and actually, like, be transparent with us. Will it outsell itself on Xbox, on PlayStation? Can they tell us that? Will they tell us that? Like, these are all things, again, to be fair, we don't know. So much of this stuff, the transparency is terrible, okay? It has been for a very long time. It'll continue to be. You really don't know. The game could have done 8 million people on Game Pass and sold 1 million. And then you have to look at it and say, okay, well, what's more important, right? Like, is it more important that so many people play it on Game Pass, or are they looking for a certain sales figures? We don't know that either. We don't know how much it sold. We don't know how well it did on Game Pass, and we don't know the difference between the two. We also, that's 3 things. We also don't know what the expectation was for either of them, if they were looking for one thing versus the other. So it's a lot of unknown, and that is very fair, I think, bring up. But if you're already getting rumors that there's more coming, and I think they talked to, was a Lucasfilm? They talked to somebody's, like a head CEO that talked about that there's more. I think I made a video on it on Podcast Now Plus, that they're looking for like like more opportunities, or that they find it interesting, like the idea that there could be more stories. Like they clearly want to do it. I think it was obviously maybe waiting a little bit on performance. And now I guess the final part to this entire video, right, is, well, okay, well, what do you do in the future? Now, really, we've only been talking about Machine Games and The Great Circle 2, right? Like a sequel to what they did here. That doesn't have to mean that's the only thing we get. This could be a starting point to Indiana Jones games just in general. I saw a couple from people that, you know, we follow each other, almost like a Monkey Island kind of, like a point and click adventure type game. Like, could you do different genres? You know, I think not to just always throw like one of the easier ones out there, but like a Telltale, you know, kind of supermassive style, not horror, but, you know, to do like a choice-based thing, I think that would be really cool. But, you know, maybe like Hogwarts Legacy and the Wizarding World, and I'm not saying literally doing it like that, but using that as a basis, right? Hogwarts Legacy worked. Now, Hogwarts Legacy sold unreal, right? Better than most games actually in all of history. That should show that you should do more Wizarding World games. Now, you need a pillar, right? You need a genre and a type of Wizarding World game that you kind of build from. And Hogwarts Legacy is that game, right? So you expect sequels, and you're going to get sequels to that open world, action-y, you know, a little bit free-flow combat like Arkham style, right? You need games like that and to continue that trilogy or just franchise in general. But you can also experiment. You can also do Quidditch Champions. You can also hopefully do just different types of games in the Wizarding World. Maybe we get that with Indiana Jones. Maybe Machine Games does a sequel to this where it's this more adventure action, right? Brawler type thing, solving puzzles. That's the focus. But that doesn't mean you can't have 2 or 3 studios kind of just like crawl out of nowhere and do a different type of Indiana Jones, right? Now, like this is where you get like your side scroller, right? Your roguelike Indiana Jones game. And I mean, we have so many of those games already, but you know, that's just an example, right? The idea that you can have like one pillar and then you can kind of have other games in the same brand, right? Indiana Jones, but just like in different genres. So hopefully maybe we can get a mix of that. I definitely want a sequel specifically to this game because I know it's good and I want games that are good like it, you know, to continue it. So I would feel very confident that a sequel to this game would be good. Therefore, I kind of want it. But that's not to say you can't do other games in different genres or different styles in general. You definitely can experiment. And the way he words it, you know, it could literally just mean like another game, or it could mean like plural, right? Like more than one. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, it's years and years away, but it's an interesting story. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.